Welcome to the Tim Castle Show, where I sit down with courageous individuals doing inspirational things around the world. Whether it's AI, crypto, mindset, leadership, negotiation and sales, I've got you covered. I sit at that nexus of disruption and change. I'm loving every second of this. I really do believe this is the most abundant time that we've lived in. And if we harness what's going on correctly, we can build businesses that are going to transform our future and your lives. So come with me on this journey, meet the people. I pull back the curtain, I find out who they really are. I started off building this podcast for my sons as something they could look back on later in life and see the conversations that their dad had with people that he respected and admired, but most of all, get the lessons. And now I'm sharing those lessons with you and the reasons that people had done things, the ambition, the passion, and the hardship and their vulnerabilities. And I actually really enjoy it. This is one of the most special times as I get to sit down with people that I really would love to chat to and ask them the questions that are burning in my mind. If you are the same as me and you're pushing the limits and the edges of what you do, please like and subscribe to the show. It helps me tremendously to get new guests on the show and expand that reach so we can help more people together. Okay, welcome to the show. Today's guest is founder building the next wave of AI-driven businesses, Martin Bertilsson, CEO and founder of AIMSOO and CEO and founder of Multipole AI, a Singapore-based company in the agentic space, which I'm very passionate about. I've been very excited all day waiting to talk to Martin because the last time we sat down, things have changed a lot, and that was only 6 months ago. So welcome to this conversation. Welcome to the show, Martin. Brilliant to have you on.
Thank you, Tim. I've been looking forward to being on this show. I keep watching it all the time, and catching up with you locally is one of the joys we have here in Singapore. So since you're based locally, brilliant.
No, great. I'm glad to meet a fellow watcher, listener, and also person in the agentic world. Like, you sit at the intersection of AI infrastructure, go-to-market strategy, and the future of automation. Like, looking back in your history, I obviously know you from before, but like you've been at Google at the helm of analytics and you've built teams out. You were there, I believe, building out AdX, weren't you? First employee to do AdX on the advertising side. And then even before that, you were in data. So what has taken you now into the AI world? Like, what has caught your vision?
Yeah, I'm getting up in age, right? But I started working at the tail end of .com 1, right? When we were doing online payments, the very early days of e-commerce and things like that. And so I've been sort of in one way or another in MarTech, as we would call it today, for 25 years now. And I think it hasn't been as exciting. I mean, it was incredibly exciting around the millennium. When programmatic came, it was incredibly exciting, sort of 08, 09, 10, and you got into all that. But this is both of those guys coming at the same time to our industry, right? So, and yes, I've been in that space the whole time, but everything's now being rewritten, right? We talk about this, right? I look at this world, and when I do like meetups or consulting engagements and stuff, I'm trying to just remind people we got about $1 trillion in advertising online, give or take. About $500 billion is legit going to be either disrupted or is genuinely going to have to find a new home. Right? So there's this blue link search that's going to transform into AI mode, ChatGPT, that sort of interface. No one's going to want to go back to the blue links and you have to click and you have to look yourself. That's just not happening.
So search is
done. And we see, search in the form we have it today is done. Right now, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but if the adoption numbers are true, it will actually be the majority of humans online that switches over or starts using chatbots in 2026. Right, like the growth is astonishing here, and that in turn then, so that's blue link search going to have to morph into chatbot advertising, if you will, and we'll see who grabs the market shares and how it's going to look and work. But that's going to happen, and as it happens, we have this other giant phenomenon called zero click. those who aren't familiar with this basically means instead of going to blue link search, clicking on links, landing on lots of websites, I just get my answer and I go nowhere. And ChatGPT sends something like, I think the latest RF numbers were, or href, I think they want to be called. There's something like 4% of what Google sends today. Right? So if someone goes on Google, they might get an AIO, they might get whatever they get. So a lot of clicks have already disappeared. But ChatGPT, the full chatbot experience, is far stingier than Google already is. And just to give you an example out of that, if you 2 years ago were the top position on Google, and you got 100 clicks for that in whatever that keyword category is, today you're getting 42 clicks. And that's Google. Now divide that by 19 or something, and that's your future traffic out of Google, right? So zero click is real, and it's basically going to it's already hit all the publishers. It's going to hit anyone who has a website and rely on monetizing that. And of course, for those of us who were in programmatic during the revolution, that's the open web programmatic. That's $100 billion of advertising. And it's astonishing to think of all the companies, all the stuff that's happened in open web programmatic, all the investments, all the Lumascapes. Now we're talking 500 billion. So there's another 150 billion or so that's going to get hit by this.
Martin, it's been 2 minutes already. You're already blowing my mind, and you've already killed a whole industry.
I'm not killing anything, but this is real, right? And the numbers are bearing this out.
But do people realize this?
I think it's starting to drop. The publishers, if I look back, like when I started talking to people about this 2 years ago, right? When I started getting into this, I built like these empty Lumascapes. What's going to happen? People just looked at me like you're joking, right? And I went to friends of mine that run the biggest DSPs in APAC, all these sort of things. It was like, what? What are you talking about? And it was early, but all the curves had already started happening. Now I think everyone in publishing land understands what's happening. They're desperately trying to deploy things like Cloudflare, AO.page, Tollbit, other sort of solutions to manage the fact that most of their traffic is now bots who's just trying to take their information and not send them any traffic, right? So in publisher side, I think this is true. People know it. I think in pockets of web businesses, I gave the example last week at a meetup. There's a company called Chegg. They were sort of a COVID darling. They have homework help, mock tests. So that was huge during COVID. COVID ended. That wasn't so good for them. They sort of went back. Then ChatGPT launches, and their share price and their traffic has flatlined. Because no one needs to go to a web repository or an app repository to get the answer to a homework question or get a mock test. So you're starting to see the zero click of them, but you're also going to get the zero click of commerce, of e-commerce. Today, the paradigm basically is you go to a search engine, the search engine sends you to an e-commerce of some kind, and then you search there too, and you click through lots of results. And it's kind of a drudgery, and it's filled with commerce ads, retail media ads. The commerce protocols, so there's ACP, there's UCP from OpenAI and Google. What they allow is basically Shopify pipes the commerce, the retailer data straight into the chatbot. You can check out straight in there. You can do everything in there, and you don't have to scroll through endless drudgery of results on the commerce sites. Now, that's going to be good, but it also, of course, means no eyeballs, no ads for retail media. And that's another $150 billion or so a year industry. That is like now needs to figure itself out. And for the retailers, it's sort of, if you're Amazon, you're not going to want to engage with this, and they're blocking the bots because their ad revenue is roughly as much as their entire group profits. So, but they are an incredibly strong force. They're very good at what they do. They have a logistics network. Like, they can probably try and go it alone. Use Rufus to buy things. Don't use ChatGPT or something like that. Everybody else is going, we're not strong enough to stand on our own. If the chatbot is going to tell people, buy this thing, I have to be there or I'm not going to sell anything, right? So you get a dynamic that's very similar to how Blue Link Search has operated all these years. Well, you can block the Google bot if you think you're big enough to be a destination in your own right, and virtually no one was, and so everyone had to do it, right? And I think we're starting to see a similar dynamic here in the early days of sort of agentic commerce. So that's sorry, that was a very long answer to the same. To a fairly basic question, but this is the space we're living in, right? In the digital ads industry, as AI comes in, and it's going to happen. Like, it's no one's going back to Blue Link, no one's going back to trolling through websites. This will happen.
But I love the way you laid it out, and it's the reality of the change. And I think people need to hear it just from an expert. The way that you articulated that with the different disruptions, the different pockets of disruption, the landscape as we know it has and is shifting. And as you say, 2026 is probably that year that it starts to really take effect. What is it then, looking now then, that a business would have to do that they can no longer consider an if we get round to it type thing? What is it that they must do if they want to take advantage of this change? A bit like you said, like they've reconciled that they had to do SEO, or they reconciled that they had to get on board with Google. What is it now that they've got to do?
I think the first thing is sort of what we saw starting to happen last year. There's something known as geo tools, or generative engine optimization. It's sort of an offshoot of SEO, if we're really honest, I'd call it. So you set up a prompt engine, you ask, say, ChatGPT via the API 5,000 times, what do you think about my banana brand versus Tim's banana brand? And you're trying to understand, like, if someone asks what's the best banana, will ChatGPT mention your brand at all? And if so, what will it say, right? You're trying to understand how are you being represented to the users of these AI models, right? So I think that's a genuine, relevant first sort of baseline that anyone who sells anything or wants prominence of any kind in the models, that you need to start there. The downside with these tools is they're like a thermometer without numbers, right? Like this is very inexact. You don't know if all this memory-based responses that we're all getting based on our history with them is anything to do with what that API like mass prompt has got to do, right? But you will be able, same as a thermometer without numbers, you'll be able to see, am I doing better or worse than last time, right? So so there's value in this, right? You should probably start there. The other thing you should do is you should start understanding the surfaces that are coming. And this is far easier said than done, right? So chatbot surface, fairly easy to understand. It's not too dissimilar to search, really. Someone prompts or asks or does something, an answer comes out. There'll probably be ads next to it, or there will be ads next to it, relevant ads, presumably. So that surface isn't too dissimilar. But if you've been following at all the agentic things here with Maltbot, Maltbook, and these things, where people have on-prem autonomous agents that you can set up with purchasing capability, and they'll go on and they'll do commerce on your behalf, right? It's like sending your butler to the village if you're the lord of the manor kind of thing, right? And that thing will come home with goods and services. How do you, if you are one of the retailers, deal with that one? Where do you even try and sort of seed information about your product? What, like, where does that agent go to get an idea of, should I recommend A or B? Right? Like, this is an entirely new thing that's coming. We also don't know what the UI surface is going to look like, right? Is it going to look like Cluely, like an old super agent overlay on top of all of my apps? Is this going to be a chatbot? Is this going to be projected in my smart glasses? Like, we don't really know anything here. It's very early days. I think what companies just need to do there is go with the big stuff. Chatbots are taking off. It's something that people are using. use that as your onboarding, because you have an AI brain there. If you can figure out how to sell to that AI brain, it's going to be easier selling to whatever other forms it comes in later on, right? After that comes the things that people don't want to do, but they really, really have to do, which is you got to get your data in order. And we're seeing an industry popping up just in SKU feeds, right? That was always a big thing. How do I make sure that my SKUs show up nicely on Amazon or Google Shopping? But you're really going to have to make this nice and universal now. I saw today, just in the NeoLab thing, there's more than 50 foundational models. You're going to see, you're going to see thousands of different agentic frameworks. How do you take whatever it is you're offering and want to put into the world and present this in a way that makes sense to all of them? Because it used to be that different vendors wanted a different kind of feed or structure. And so you're seeing lots of companies pop up around in that space. You got to get your data in order. You got to get it to the agents in a good way. And so there's going to be a lot of, I mean, this is stuff that no one ever wants to do. They buy middleware, they put a data lake and drink from that or whatever. I mean, everyone does it all the time. It's going to happen here too, but they got to do that. So I think that's, if you get those things right as a company, you're probably off to a start.
And have you seen many companies going down that road so far? Like, who are some of the shining examples that you've seen that are really structuring their data in a way that would make sense for the agentic landscape?
To be honest, you see a lot of people who are early days on it. You see a lot of people who are they're leaning into it. They're trying to figure it out, especially in the publisher side, right? They're trying to work with Cloudflare, trying to structure things so that the bot can get some snippets. It can't take the full article. They have to pay if they want the full article, so forth and so on. Publisher, anyone, like, I think it basically, that's the order of it. If you have gotten hit by zero-click, and if you're already impacted, and that happened 6 months ago, you're now far down the road here, right? I think retailers, the commerce layer is just getting started, right? And I think they're just trying to understand the fact that their Shopify feed is now going to go straight into ChatGPT, because that integration is already happened, right? So I think people are just about to notice that this is going to happen now to them as well. So I don't have a lot of shining examples that I would say, look at these guys. They're great. I see a lot of startups in this space doing really interesting things in that here's just unstructured, horrible SKU data. You run it through a number of skills, basically agentic skills, and here out comes something nice. You're starting to see that. So a lot of people are building here because a lot of people realize this middle layer is going to be something.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we go back to the agentic or the agent to agent commerce, like how would that work? And would humans have an influence? Like is it about standardization? Can those agents, do they talk the same language right now, or are they not able to? Is that possible right now? If you give an agent a framework and some rules, could it then go and operate on your behalf, or is there some leakage or non-understanding in that equation?
It can now. If you look at, so we did a whole seminar on this just a couple of weeks ago. So late last year, OpenAI put out a protocol for this, right? And basically the way the AI internet works is you have MCPs as your core. Then Google came out in May. I can't believe it's not even a year ago. I think it was May. They came out with the A2A protocol that allows agents to basically identify each other and say, I'm Marty's agent and I can prove it. You're Tim's agent and you can prove it. We now know that we are the right ones. And usually there's some sort of crypto check or something that makes sure these are the right agents that should be talking to each other. We can normalize information, as they call it. Basically, they can negotiate, right? But there's a million things on top of that if you want to buy or sell something. Right, you have to agree on what even is a purchase, right? You can think, I mean, Jesus, I'm old and I've got a law degree, so I think of Incoterms, right? These international trade agreements, default standard contracts that allow someone to sell a box from Japan to someone in Argentina, and they can just use the same contract all the time because these have been pre-negotiated. Someone already worked out who has the risk if it gets damaged. Someone worked out what a return is and how that works. Someone defined every single term you need to know to do a transaction. And that is really then what these commerce protocols are doing on top of it, right? Both OpenAI and Google. So if you use these protocols, everything's been pre-negotiated. You just really need to connect in this. All the rules have been defined. And on top of that, they then connect out to the separate payment protocols. So there's AP2, there's another one from OpenAI, there's a whole pile of them. I think Coinbase just came out with a crypto one, if you're feeling adventurous.
Oh, mad.
But all of it actually works on various forms of crypto. So the way to think about it is I'm sending my butler to the village, and instead of giving him some pound notes or my good name to use as credit, I actually authorize a certain amount of money. That gets set up here. Now the world knows, or the protocols know, I have actually authorized to buy something like this. Shows up at a retailer. That retailer's agent checks that. Fine, we're good to transact it. It can all happen, right? So we are there. The rails have been built. It works. I'm sure they're going to find some gremlins in this, absolutely, but it's there. I don't think it's going to be anything. There are no major stops. I think there was something like 200 billion just over Christmas was actually transacted in various level of agentic autonomy. So I think it's a given it's going to happen. And you're going to see, one thing to say is, I mean, given who we are, AdCP is basically the same thing. So it is, we're not buying goods, we're not doing recreating e-commerce, we want to buy and sell advertising. It is really what it is. It's a pre-agreed framework, nomenclature, rules of the road. I want to sell an ad impression, you want to buy it, how do we transact that agentically, right? So it's the same principle. You'll see the same going to start popping up in travel, in hotels. I mean, a lot of this already exists. We'll see it for every industry on the planet.
So if we've got intelligence abundantly and across verticals, like in ads, like we've discussed, in travel, retail, it's just the pace of change is ferocious. What for you?
Yes.
Is the biggest, and I mean, you've obviously gone into building out a startup here and quite aggressively going after something. What is it for you? If you explain AIMSOO to me, like I'm a CEO in a lift, we've got a lift, we're taking the lift down, 2 minutes. What is it that you've seen that you understand to be so incredibly valuable within all of this kind of chaos yet systematized building that stood out to you?
To me, I think it was for AIMSOO specifically, what we do there is we take small businesses data, like the most core basic listing data, name, trading hours, what are you selling, some pictures of your shop or whatever it happens to be. And we make sure that shows up in AI search. Because the reality of what you find, and anyone can do this, you go into ChatGPT and you say, hairdressers next to me, it will usually generate you a map. It will look just like Google Maps, and it's going to have a couple of pins on it. If you do exactly the same thing in Google Maps, you'll notice this is like 67% more little pins are showing up. The vast majority of the world's small businesses simply are not visible to AI. They don't show up. So it's an example of there's lots of data in the world that simply has not yet been connected to AI. And that is a problem to solve. Specifically, of course, if you're a business and if you can't show up in search, you're going to lose a lot of traffic. You're going to lose a lot of business, right? So for them, it's vital. And that is really what I think we want to solve with that one. So visibility. Later, we can also work on, okay, so we got Tim's hot dog stand and Marty's hot dog stand. Both are now visible to anyone using AI search. And there's almost 2 billion using non-Google AI search. So both of us can show up. How do we then help the small business show up better? Why would they recommend Marty's hot dog stand over Tim's hot dog stand? And based on what would they do that? And once you solve that one, I think we get to this super interesting agentic thing. I often use the example of if my toilet is overflowing, and what would happen in the last 25 years in Web 2.0 is I would go right to Google. I would put in plumbers, and then I will call them, right? Like that is like, can you come now? No? Oh, sorry. Can you come now? Right? Why does it need to be like that if every plumber can have an AI agent that is connected to their calendar and is up to date and they can talk to it or get notifications from it or something? Why can't I just tell my AI agent, start geographic search, A to A contact anyone who says they're a plumber, ask them if they can come here, and if so, if they can in the next 20 minutes, they get $100. All right? You can automate all the drudgery. You can do this so much easier. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be a hairdresser all of a sudden has a slot, fell out, someone called in sick. Fantastic. Ping every person who I cut the hair of in the last 5 years, their agent. Check if they want to come, if their sort of master or mistress would like the slot, right? Restaurants, we're going to see this peer-to-peer commerce and transactional layer come in. And for small businesses who don't even show up to AI doesn't even know they exist. So first they got to be visible, then they got to be picked, then they got to be transactional as well. So look, we're sort of building this like 1, 2, 3 model at AIMSOO.
This is fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. And I can see how this ties to your background and your experience, right? The way you're speaking about it being data, and the data isn't now visible in the thing that you need to be visible in. And if you think about the volume of SMBs out there, you're now giving them a route
Yeah.
through to get to the most prized place. And you're saying the rules have been rewritten and I've got the ticket to make you stand out. And we're going to use geo as in the geographical location through agentic communication to then be agent to agent commerce, essentially saying, yep, I've put out a request and now I've found you. I've surfaced you. I've brought you new business. This is fascinating. And it reminds me of a business that I started. It's now closed, but in COVID, when with a founder that we came across the fact that hospitality was in at least in Singapore was becoming very, very challenging to get people in and out to do the work. And so what if you could, and just as you said, peer to peer, you could say, I have a wedding venue coming up and they need 13 new staff tomorrow to work in the afternoon. And you could send out a message and get 13 people back who could then, a bit like when you call a Grab, you're just pinging and confirming jobs on the day. And you could do that with staff for hospitality to start to fuel that need. But what you're saying here is on a much, much bigger scale. It's
Yeah.
geographically and
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
it's
so many
six,
businesses.
7 billion humans will, in a couple of years, all have these like little digital sidekick butlers that they send out in the world so they don't have to do the drudgery. 350 million SMEs on the other side looking for custom, right? It's a bit of a matching problem. So that's going to be good. But I think.
But how do you build that marketplace then? Okay, you're gonna get more because this was the challenge we had. You get one side, but how do you get the other? And what I'd love to hear your answer on that.
So I think some of it you're hoping on the intelligence on the edges of the system, right? If you what AIMSOO really does in the first iteration, was sort of like a very modern, like a yellow pages for AI, if you will. If a small business, the way they do it today is you get a listing on Google and you get a listing on Facebook. And up until 2 years ago, that was fine. That got you the web, that got you social media. The rest was like, don't worry about that, right? That's why most of them today don't show up in AI search that is in Google, because Google's not sharing those listings. Facebook is not sharing those listings for very obvious reasons. All right, so what's a crafty SME supposed to do? What's Tim's hot dog stand going to do? And you'll go out and look at the world of AI search. You go, oh, there's ChatGPT. Oh, no, there's Grok. There's 50 foundational models, thousands of wrapper companies. What are you going to do? And OpenAI don't even have a listing tool, right? So like you need a single central place. You're going to put your information once, and those people are going to deal with. You figure out if it's MCPs or APIs or Markdown, web, or whatever it is, get me the ability to connect with that weird world. What I want is basically either a WhatsApp message or a ping or something that says someone wants to buy something.
Yeah.
wants to book me or asks me something. So you need to take it down to that level for the SMEs, right? They're not going to manage 15, 20 more accounts. They don't want to. They
Yeah.
don't have the money to pay for like geo tools and SEO agencies and stuff like this. It doesn't work for them. That's for like the world's top 2 million companies. We're building for sort of the next 300.
I see it. No, you completely explained it, and you're building that side of it. You're solving that problem because they're not going to manage 50 different stacks. You've got it
Yeah.
all in one layer. Then you're going to integrate into each.
Yeah. So then what you're going to see here in terms of, well, how are you going to then find it? So let's say we now have, and probably going to be more routes to this than just AIMSOO, right? Google will have a bunch, Facebook will have a bunch, we'll have a bunch. There'll be all sorts of places. So if you envision that how this looks then on consumer side, so I'm living here in a condo. I wake up on Saturday morning. We have certain things my agent knows or will know that we do every Saturday morning. We probably want to go down to the cafe. We did that one Saturday, and they no, sorry, closed for corporate events. Why do I ever have to go there to find that out? My agent should be pinging their agent going, are you open? Have you sold out of croissants? Right? Like what? Like there's so much efficiency, so much better that our lives can be. And that can be done just by having geography, right? My agent can start with a geographic that he knows where I am, start checking vendors and options in the area around me, and you can go further out. So we can rely on the agentic intelligence to a large degree to handle this on behalf of the customers and what they know about the customers. We don't need to deal too much with that on our side. At least that is the sort of the hope. And let's be honest here, there's a lot to be played out yet in terms of the models. They double in ability every 7 months. That's probably the most fundamental thing to remember, right? Like it's going to be 4 times as good 14 months from now. And it's already pretty much better today than it was like at the end of 24. So these intelligences are going to take over a lot of the thinking here. Our core job is to make sure that we feed them on behalf of our customers what they need to know to recommend the right thing to the right person. I think that is the way we think about it.
So you're a high quality data hub feeding in that information.
Yeah. Verification is key for us, right? Like, because you could basically just download a phone book or grab like a government database, but that's already what's happening. Like the AI today, if you have, I usually have this, my bicycle repair guy here, he's down in Clementi. He's got a Google listing, he's got a Facebook listing. If you go on Google or Facebook, he shows up with his pictures, everything looks right. If you grab him in ChatGPT, the last time the pictures, it couldn't get any data on him. So the pictures was a backyard pizza oven and a brownstone apartment building in London. Right now, why did it do that? Why did it find him at all? It's because you have these guys who have downloaded government databases, the public company registers. They've put them on a website to try and make a little bit of AdSense money. This is the best available information to all non-Google AI search. And so you're getting these like, formal legal names. It's not Tim's Hot Dogs. It's like, Tim's Trading 346 or something like that. It's got your home address, not your trading address or whatever the registered address is. It makes up pictures. It makes up stories about what these companies do. That has nothing to do with what they do. So verification becomes super important, right? That, no, I won't take your record just on a chance. You have to prove to me, same as you do on Google, that you actually own Tim's Hot Dogs. Here's the business search or something like that. Then we will pass it to AI. And that sort of provides safety on both sides. You know that I can't, like a competing guy can't steal your hot dog and like say bad things about you, right? I know that I'm feeding the AI models good data. They will learn and understand that data source has high validity, it's self-declared, it's verified, we're safe to give this to our users, right? Users become more happy. So you get a sort of a virtuous circle here, and you get away from the old Web 2.0 sort of grifter internet, right? Like we're going to see a lot of that go away.
But the thing that's so beautiful about what you're saying, and where I think you are amazing in terms of your visionary, uh, like your vision, your ability to be a visionary here, is that you're going forward and projecting forward to saying, well, yes, we've got this kind of virtuous circle that then gets even more validated once you have two agents talking to each other and that strength. It's almost like you have this part, and then once it's done enough and you've got agent to agent connection with the different data points that you want to layer in, and it can be as specific as croissant inventory and as not specific as open or closed, all valuable to the consumer, all valuable. And these are just micro changes that once we get used to, we're never like human behavioral cycle. We're not going to go back to how it was before. This is just going to get more and better. And as you said, the model's improving at an exponential rate that then allows for things that people like yourself are now envisioning and building for now, so that in 2 years, when it's the norm, you will have captured market share and be the natural place
That's
for that.
well, that's certainly the hope and theory. But look, I think it's true. I think, and if I look back on like, I mean, you remember some of the predictions we made last year in the seminars and stuff. It's weird to see it all playing out the way we thought it would, right? And a lot of what we discussed, if anything, it's going faster than we thought it would, but it's all happening, right? So I think the future is fairly almost obvious at this point, and it's good fun to be in it, right? But one caveat, right? Like there could be a piece of news that drops tomorrow that changes everything. So MCPs are 14 months old. That's how old the whole infrastructure of all of this stuff is, right? Like, who knows?
It's a baby. That's it. Putting on our ads hat for a second, because I know that a few of the listeners, a lot of the listeners are in the ads world. If you were a publisher right now and you were being impacted by zero click, what can you do? What would you do if you were in your AdX world again, like as a
I,
signing up publishers?
I, I mean, I'll answer it in two ways. I even wrote an op-ed in Campaign Asia that I'm sure I got at least 10 people reading. But so I started, it's almost 20 years ago, I started working with publishers. Back then, I was at Axiom. It would be today, you would know it as LiveRamp, the stuff I was doing. And it was about using data, getting their data in order, but also using it to like connect it out and target better and so forth. Right? So I got 20 years, and publishers, if I'm brutally honest, is the only part of the internet I'm like as a human passionate about. It's what keeps society decent. It's the fact that it's actually possible to sort of call out bad things in a forum that isn't directly controlled by the people doing the bad things. So, and my advice to publishers, and I wrote this, is if I was the publishers of Australia that I used to deal with, all right now, go get in a room and all agree to block every single scraping bot on the planet. Every single one of them. It should be impossible for any model to find out. It should be like North Korea to the bots. You will find out nothing unless you guys agree to let the models. Like, get yourself some leverage. Because if you think about how it works today, you go to see a press conference with, say, the Prime Minister of Australia or Singapore, you have 10 microphones there. So as long as someone has the ability to get data from just one of those microphones out into the models, the value of the unique data goes to zero. Right? You don't have to go to any of the other 9. You get it for almost nothing over there. You need basically these like fortresses, I think, to protect your market. And the only leverage you will have is that consortium knows everything of value that users would like to know and like to ask their AI models about. This breaks every anti-competitive law on the planet, I would suggest. And they need to talk to the governments. But if governments don't institute this in the local economies, they are going to see the models do far worse to digital news media than the internet ever did, than programmatic ever did, right? We're now talking about like the traffic goes down not by halves. It goes down to 10%. There's no way to monetize this. You can't. It's like penicillin in a petri dish. You cannot allow this to happen. So I think a consortium. Now, the problem with the consortium, because I tried building consortiums of publishers before, specifically around data. I thought, look, take publisher A, publisher B, together you get pretty decent sort of subscriber databases. If you pool them, you're going to get massively higher match rates. You're going to be a much stronger offering. You're going to be able to compete with the like with some of the big tech players and the Silicon Valley guys. Like, you'll be a force in your own market. Even if they could get their head around the anti-competitive side, you put it in a side business, like you know, arm's length away. It was incredibly hard for them to unthink, like, these are my worst competitors. 50, 100 years of fighting between these mastheads and whatever their descendants are now. They couldn't agree on anything. And I think, like, I even wrote it in that article there, like, look, this is Benjamin Franklin time, right? You either hang together or you're going to hang separate. Like, and this time, there's no going back.
That's it.
There's not another, yeah.
It's huge. This is like not just like a few jobs on the line. This is like 90, but this is over. This is game over stuff. Like, when it's traffic dropping to 10%, and how are you?
Yeah.
Like, but then, do you not think they should get together, get in a room, and become an agentic SSP of sorts, or become like the answer to agentic media buying agents? Well, okay, you've got Fairfax News, whoever else, right? We're going to become the point solution on the
way. I think you have to become a unique and necessary destination for two constituencies, preferably for actual humans. If I want to be an informed human, a citizen in Australia or Singapore or Sweden or UK or wherever I happen to live, I actually have to go visit these websites and apps directly. I might have to pay a subscription fee. I at least have to give them my eyeballs so they can sell some advertising against me, probably both. The classic, right? That's like, if I want to be a clued-in human, they have to be a destination I have to visit. That is one possible constituency. The other possible constituency is then the agent world. Thousands of bots and scrapers are coming right now, will be replaced by millions, if not billions, of personal agents, right? Can I wall myself off so they just don't take my data? And can I then control how I interact with this? Do I sell them information, or do I tell them to go tell their humans to come over in the other channel or something? But these are the two constituencies you're working with. It's not going to be easy, but I think you have to do it.
That's hard to
and
get
if you then go,
that's hard to get your head around.
It's very hard to get your head around. And I find myself, I'm an old news junkie. I mean, I started life in a small village. We had Swedish state television, like the two newspapers, the broadsheets we got in the morning. That was my window on the world. I even read the death ads in those things, right? It's like, I'm an old news junkie, and today I consciously have to remind myself, no, go directly at least to the website, because if you just get whatever your feed serves up, you're missing so much stuff that the algorithm didn't think you would find interesting. Your view on the world just shrinks. So it's not good for the human itself, right? But it's also the times we live in. The trick here, right, to go back to your original question, what do you do if you're working in this industry? If you're in the ad tech side of this, either at the publisher side, or if you're selling SSP style or data style, I don't think there's a scenario where the AI wave doesn't hit, where zero-click doesn't happen, where agentic information curation and personal feeds don't happen, right? So I think order number one, understand this space, understand the phenomenon. It is like understand what the web is in 1994, 95. Just understand the dynamics of this, right? Understand search in 2005, understand social in 2010. You just have to understand how these dynamics work. Then, quite frankly, you got to get stuck into either defend. Well, you have to defend yourself, otherwise they are taking your data, and then you got to work out if I can be a destination, if I can be strong enough, if not, pool with others until you are. You're going to need tech to do this. You're going to need frameworks to do this. So there's going to be tech players, I think, that will help facilitate this. But like if I was in the SSP business, I think I would, and a lot of people, a lot of them are now veering hard into CTV, into out of home, places where humans will have their eyeballs either because they have to, like with out of home. I am driving, I will see this sign. I'm not going to close my eyes.
For now, until the robo-taxis come.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but let's not wrap it all there. We can talk about like the next wave after this. But CTV is a good one. I am there. I'm watching this like football game or this movie or whatever because I want to. I'm the human. I want my eyeballs there. This is not the equivalent of like trying to scroll through the results of Amazon of all the garbage that shows up here. No, this is something I want to do. So you can put ads there. That's going to work. I would do, if I was in sell side and I would think very hard on, if the eyeballs aren't going to be in retail media, it's not going to be in open web, it's not going to be in blue link search. Well, where are the eyeballs going to be? Because that's where the ad money is going to go, right? And as I'm wont of saying, like a good friend of mine down in Australia called Brendan Dowling came up with this analogy. You got to think of advertising budgets as a pig. Every day we slaughter this pig, and we might cook a lovely dish and have a great campaign, but you know what? Tomorrow the pig wakes up again, ready to spend again, because people need to sell stuff and they need to advertise. There were ads on the walls of Pompeii. There will be ads tomorrow, and they will be where the eyeballs are, without fail. And that's the thing for people in our industry to always just keep going where the eyeballs are, and you won't be too far off where the money is. That's how I would think about it.
You just flooded OpenAI's inbox with job applications. So we're moving from traffic optimization worlds into model optimization effectively, and businesses like yourself where you're bringing all the models together so that the individual business or user doesn't have to go and do 50 models at once. Exciting news, my new book, Magnetic Influence, is coming out on the 3rd of June. And let me tell you, I've put my heart and soul into this book. It's been percolating through my mind over the last 8 years since my book, The Art of Negotiation, went worldwide. And now it's an advanced negotiation playbook for the disrupted world that we live in. You're going to learn how to become the hybrid negotiator, the professional that can deal with AI and leverage it for all it's got, and blend that with the human connection that's going to become so valuable in today's modern world. So don't wait, check out the link in the show notes, have a look at the book, Magnetic Influence. If you want to learn how to become magnetic in every situation, to be able to talk to any person, to be able to understand how to make the best decisions, check out the link in the show notes, have a look at the book. What will AI native marketing look like, do you think?
It's very, I mean, to be honest, this gets very sci-fi and speculation and so forth. Like right now, it's kind of easy to see because there's two things that are happening. The first one is just the very basics that we are now very quickly automating things that used to be tasks that we did in our industry, flighting campaigns, creating, well, creative and things like this. This is getting automated, and it's getting automated very, very quickly. I think we're soon going to see a lot of the things where people are used to push buttons inside SSPs and DSPs and whatever it was, check reports. That stuff's getting automated, but that's sort of just a productivity thing. It's not like sort of super interesting. The second piece comes when, and this very much depends on the intelligence, how big will these intelligence become? But you can imagine a world, let's say something like AdCP has become the norm. It's become the TCP/IP equivalent of buying and selling advertising. You could then also envision that you give it Every 7 months it doubles. So let's push it out 3 years. This thing is now, what is it, 16, 32 times as good as the models are today. They're pretty clever. And they've been trained with these skill packages and everything, right? Tim's hot dog stand could now have the equivalent of 100 of the world's best media buyers working at superhuman speed 24/7, doing nothing but looking for the best ad placements for Tim's hot dog ads, even though Tim only spends $100 a month on ads, right? Like you could have a world like that. And then you have Marty's blog, or well, anybody still reads blogs, but let's say Martin will have Tim's video show here, right? People go here because they want to have their eyeballs there. So you're going to have some viewers. You could have a media sales team that would be bigger than any media sales team previously in history, tirelessly explaining the placement, the audience, the virtues of everything, negotiating the price. All of this could be true. That's AI native advertising. Now, the intelligence will also be able to go, well, last time I bought an ad on Teams, I got this result, and I used that, and that. Like, they can correlate so many more data points and do it in so much more granularity. And when it starts to optimize for selling your hot dogs, it's going to be better than any sort of analytics team ever was. AI and Tim is not going to make a single creative. You're not going to write a single tagline, because the model will do a far better job at that than you ever will, right? Like, this is, at least according to Hinton, who got the Nobel Prize for figuring out neural networks. Creativity is something that AI models will do far better than us.
Curiosity as well.
What's that?
Curiosity as well, or just creativity?
Well, I mean, he has a very, I don't know if I call it dystopian, maybe it's a realistic, I don't know what to call it, but he looks at the brain that you and I and he has as sort of a meat computer, right? It just has lots of nodes. And we can figure out very easily what makes it happier or sadder, what buttons to push. And a computer gets better, an AI brain gets better at anticipating, based on Tim's history and everything it knows about Tim, what's going to make Tim tick. It's going to get better at making a feed for Tim that Tim goes, ooh, that's interesting, I'm going to go there, than any other system before it could ever do. And it's going to know more about you as well, right? It is going to be your trusted butler. It's lived with you for 20 years. It's done everything for you. You got your fire planning in there. You got your kids' homework in there. You got everything in there. In that, hopefully, your butler, rather than the butler's working with someone else,
Well,
which is
it.
a whole different kettle of fish, right? But this is going to happen. So, yeah, we're getting into very, very weird territories here. But like AI native advertising, 2, 3, 4 years hence, is going to look very different to the little automations we're doing right now, and generating some images instead of having someone take a stock photo with a camera and using Adobe to fix it up.
It's, yeah, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to walk people through this, because this is the reality of what everyone, not just a few people on the earth, are wrestling with, right? This is going to be all of us, and it's all happening right now. And there is the possibility of threats and obviously a darker side to things that we need to be aware of, and that's the battle. And like you say, even just on an individual level, when we say that our feed is skewed to give us a certain perception of the world, and we get into a habit, and now we've got a supercomputer that's starting to give us exactly what we want to see at exactly the right moments to fulfill not only our bank balance being spent, but also just the narratives that are in our head. Like, it's important to be aware of this, because it's it's everything. And at the same
Yeah.
time, like I think I'm just so impressed with how you're able to articulate and distill these things into, I mean, we've got the butler example, we've got the toilet clogged example. Like, these metaphors are really important, because you're helping an audience here just grasp how much the exponentiality, like 16 times 32 times, like, they're things that they're hard to comprehend. Like just how impressive and I think disruptive is the right word this is.
Yeah, and I mean, it truly is. And as I keep saying, like you could kind of stop that doubling now if you wanted to, and it's still going to disrupt the entire marketing industry. But trying to draw it out further is just makes it even more sort of interesting. But for some of this, it's almost impossible to find good analogies. We just don't have anything. I once try, I don't know if you ever saw when I tried to explain what the peer-to-peer agentic internet's going to look like.
Go for it.
It's So if you think about like Web 2.0 is the world we lived in until like 2 years ago. Search, go to an aggregator of some kind. It can be Booking.com, it can be Amazon, it can be anything and everything, right? And then finally, whoever's actually selling or disseminating information of some kind. That's Web 2.0. Now we're going to see how the chatbot interfaces, the agentic interfaces, eat that middle layer, those websites that they used to send traffic to, right? And you get the sellers of things and the disseminators of data go straight into the AI interfaces. But what if we don't get that centralization, right? Why should I give all my data, all my agency to, say, ChatGPT or to Google or to any of these guys? What if the future instead is I have an on-prem intelligence, or at least an agent that works only for me, only I see or in control and own the full data set? And then every other human has that as well, and every business has that. So now my agent goes and finds my good buddy Tim's agent and say, hey, Marty's want to share his drinking pictures from last night. He's not going to put it on Facebook, the aggregator Web 2.0 anymore. He's going to send it to you. The baby pics goes to my family. My agent knows this, right? There is no central authority anymore that owns the full picture or a huge chunk of it. The walled gardens start to crumble themselves. Instead, we get this really weird, and I keep calling it the agentic mist because it's the least bad word I've got. But that's not, one day I will figure out like how to explain this, right? But this could very well happen. It would be a very interesting world if it does happen. And it's got a lot of money riding on it happening.
Oh my goodness. You've just solved for privacy. You've solved for crumbling of the walled gardens. Imagine this.
But if you think about this today, a good example of this, I don't know what the legals are here. So let's just call it a very large travel and hotel booking site.
Yeah.
Yeah, they topped out that the average hotel room in Europe that got booked through this booking site had to, out of the $100, let's say the average room was $100, they had to give $25 to that site. All right. So I go and I'm going to stay at a hotel and I'm paying $100, and the hotel owner who built the hotel, is cleaning the room, is getting 75. Right? Now, why does that work? Well, in Web 2.0, that works because me as a punter, I'm going to go to a booking site. I don't have the time or the patience to call, say, all 20 hotels in the town that I'm going to visit, talk to them and say, hi, what can you do? What kind of rates? Can I bring a dog? Can my wife smoke in the bathroom? Whatever crazy thing people want to work out, right? No one's going to do that. So you go to a central place, which means the hotels need to be at the central place too. This is the Web 2.0 network effect logic. But in a world where my butler has, for practical purpose, unlimited time, unlimited patience, he can go to each and every one of those 20 hotels and talk to their agents, or talk to the people for that matter. He can just have a voice. And I don't have to see any of this, and it's going to come back with what suits me best. Right? Now we cut out a 25% tax from the ecosystem. Right? Maybe it ends up, instead of 100, I'm not paying 80, and the hotel is getting more, I'm paying less. And the only people who lost out were the toll gates in the middle, because they no longer control what I see. That's up to my agent going to find things. Right? So like that is the possible next step of this, the peer-to-peer sort of commercial internet. If that happens, it gets really strange. What if I don't need ChatGPT? What if I don't go to ChatGPT? I just go, my agent goes straight to the equivalent of the Shopify feed and just buy straight there. We don't need someone to show ads, charge checkout fees.
It's a lot of, I see what you mean. It's a lot of money that's at stake for something like that being invented. Yeah. Peer-to-peer.
Yeah, it's give or take $2 trillion if you do a back of the envelope calculation, right? You got 500 billion is half of digital advertising. We already spoke of that. And if you go and listen to Andreessen Horowitz or OpenAI or ARK Invest, or if you listen to me 5 months ago, I think it was, if you think about it, the way this narrative goes, and it's going to be the story of 2026, as all these guys are trying to justify very healthy capex investments. But I think some of this is true too. Right? So Shopify estimates $65 trillion in e-commerce 2030, and it's on track. It's about 60-40 B2B, B2C, but people are using AI for both categories. Then the logic goes, 25% or so goes into the AI interfaces. It's the chatbots, it's whatever other AI interfaces are buying. So now you have 15, give or take, $1 trillion worth of goods and services being bought and sold through AI. How much can you charge when you a seller of something when you serve up a ready-made sale? Well, today, if you were to be a hotel booking site, which shall remain nameless, you can charge 25% apparently. If you're Amazon, including the payment fee, you're going to start your ticker at 8%. You're going to see things like TikTok Shop and all the others. They're kind of there and thereabouts where they start, and then the fees goes up. So let's say we average out at 10%. Now you have 15 trillion. 10% is $1.5 trillion in checkout fees that are up for grabs to whoever can sell the sale back to the sellers, right? So this is what OpenAI is hoping. That's why they now have $150 billion projected from the consumers in their latest race, right? This is 1.5 trillion is 5-6 times the size of Google's advertising business. If you do the math back on NASDAQ's normal PEs, it's $10 trillion in market cap. If you can operate this at a 20% margin. Like this is all you're going to hear in 2026. But it also, this is $2 trillion of tax every year that if P2P agents become real, humanity don't have to pay. The people actually selling stuff and the people actually buying stuff can keep that money then.
Far out. Marty, I did not know right at the end of the show you were going to drop. Can I just share peer-to-peer with you? Oh my goodness. You've literally far out. Yeah, I kind of want this to happen. This is kind of like, this is super exciting.
It is. There's a part of me that goes, fight the power, fight the walled gardens, that sort of thing. There's also a part of me.
If you get what I mean.
Yes. Well, is it though, right? Like what happens in the economy if you remove a tax? If you don't have to pay as much in tax, you're going to spend that money on something else, right? So it's not going to be palaces in Silicon Valley. It's not going to be CEOs making $300 million a year. Whatever the punter does with the money, I assume they're going to buy goods and services for themselves. So I don't think the economy suffers. I don't think jobs suffer necessarily. I mean, they certainly suffer in what we would call our industry, I guess. But like the general economy and what's better for humanity, I think is the peer-to-peer thing. Now, will the peer-to-peer thing happen? Who knows, right? Like we'll just have to wait and see. But there's powerful incentive.
Are you saying that ChatGPT just sits on one side of the fence and not on the business's side of the fence too? They sit on the consumer side of the fence.
Well, that remains to be seen, right? So right now, in the version of the internet that is now growing up, what is my agent? What is my AI purchase interface? It is ChatGPT. I go there, right. Show me the best shoes, check out them there. You take whatever checkout fee you want from whoever sold those shoes to me, right? That's where we are. So they are definitely on the consumer side, and they are working with Shopify and others to pipe in the businesses, and that's where they're going to take the checkout fees, right? So that's all good. So they're on both sides of the transaction.
Don't worry, I just figured
Well,
out in my head. You're bloody clever. I've just figured out who's on the other side of this trade. You are clever.
it's an interesting next couple of years, Tim.
Yeah, very exciting. How can I invest? This is very, very cool. Let's finish this with one mistake that would cost businesses visibility in the AI era right now. What's one mistake that if you're a business, you're a small to medium sized business there, or even just any kind of business, what's one mistake that you could do right now that will cost you visibility?
I think it's stick with the old model, which is you have don't change anything. Because so let's do this simplified. You used to have Google listing, Facebook listing, maybe some other listings if you specialize. Then you used to have a website. This website was optimized for two things: the Google scraper and eyeballs. It's got lots of weird scripts. It's got lots of other strange stuff, right? If you change nothing today, AI search is blind to Google, it's blind to Facebook, so that's a zero for you, getting no traffic. Your website is confusing the bots rather than helping them, even if you do have a website. So changing nothing would be a great mistake. What I think you should do is you should make sure your website will also do a basic like version. There's a couple of ways this happens now, but a basic version that is agent friendly or rather bot friendly. You should look at, depending on your industry, what's a good feeder. If you're a retailer, Shopify and the others. If you're a publisher, it's Tollbit, Cloudflare. Obviously, if you're an SME and don't want to know anything about this, you'll come to AIMSOO and you'll put in your basic listing there. But like the principle holds, right? Make sure that you don't ignore the fact that this year the majority of all humans online will be using chatbots. They won't take it over fully, but like what took the actual internet from 2004 to 2018, that's when the majority of humans even went online. This stuff is going to happen in 3 years.
Yeah, it's the speed.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think I've ever been so gobsmacked in an episode, and also like so excited, but also like not fearful. Fearful's the wrong word, but it's just excited to see it. It's an exciting place to be, to see where this all plays out. And I do thank you for coming on and for taking the audience through this in a way that I know that I've seen you speak. I know, and you have some great events. Do you want to talk about some of the events that you do and perhaps where people can find you and how they could take this conversation further if they so wanted to?
Oh yeah. I mean, most easily, I'm assuming there's going to be a link adjacent to wherever this video and podcast get up. You can put my LinkedIn there. You can put a link to AIMSOO if you want. People can find me through there. But we do two things. I do a lot of like speaking engagement at like sort of C-suites and stuff that need to understand and get an idea of what's coming in this space. Usually, it's like the CMO that says, "You got to come and explain this to my peers and why I need some resource right now." Doing one just tomorrow morning. I mean, so this happens a lot. But we also have this like meetup thing. Lots of people who are interested in the space. We usually get 30 to 70 people show up. It's all free. We put them out on LinkedIn, and it's everything to do with this space in general. We do them here in Singapore. We do them live. They now happen also. I got some friends in India. I got some friends in Australia. We're going to start in UK and Japan. But it really is this like idea of it's just too much happening. There's no human can stay on top of all of it. We sort of need to band together a bit and share information. So that's what we're doing. So anyone's welcome to that. They just need to keep an eye on LinkedIn or something.
And they are fantastic. They are fantastic. They really, really are. And a superb network and a community. And as you say, like it's hard to stay on top of. You're doing an amazing job, Marty, like getting you, like just tapping your brain for 20 minutes. I feel like I'm charged up. We'll have to connect again in the next 6 months when exponentiality has gone on 4x from here, and we'll see what's changed. But yeah, thank you again for joining us and for doing this.
Thank you very much for having me, Tim. It was great.